This lesson is just basically a continuation of the last one. We're talking about what mixing is and what mastering is. One analogy that I like to use when it comes to mixing versus mastering versus anything that comes prior, like songwriting or production, is the example of building a human, right? We have a person that we've created via the songwriting and production process. And so while they started out as a skeleton, the production process put some meat on them, and then they get sent over to the mixing engineer. The mixing engineer's job is to be their personal trainer. So the mixing engineer is making the person do some pull-ups and some push-ups, get those arms nice and buff, and then, maybe some squats, some sit-ups to get some nice six-pack abs, etc., right? We're slowly working on that person to move them into a place where they are basically, a supermodel or something like that. Depending on the goal, as a personal trainer, I might do different things with that person in order to get them to their ultimate goal. If it's a Victoria's Secret runway model, I'm going to be approaching that person way differently than if their goal is to get super, super jacked, right? Very different approaches. However, my goal is the same, to try to make them as appealing as possible to whatever their end goal is. That is mixing. Mixing is the personal trainer. But then, mastering. What is mastering and versus mixing? Mastering is, in this example, the equivalent of the stylist. So the mastering engineer comes in after they're all buff. They can't change the person that's standing in front of them, but they can accentuate what's great about that person, what physical features are already great, and they can then de-emphasize what's not necessarily great about that person. So, if it's the super jacked guy over here, and he has, super big arms and legs, and he's really ripped, but he's got a little bit of tub. He ate too much in his goal of building muscle, and so he's just got some extra weight around the middle that isn't really that flattering. So what the mastering engineer is going to do is going to get him a little bit bigger shirt so it hides the tub around his middle, emphasizes his arms and legs, and whatever else. I'm not really a stylist, so as you can see, I wear the same exact thing every day. Probably not the best person to be asking for stylistic advice. However, our goal here at the end of the day is to accentuate what is great and then de-emphasize what is not great inside of the master, but you can't change who the mix is, or change who the person is and what they look like without any clothes on, right? So that is the kind of a good distinguishment in my experience of dealing with what mixing and mastering is inside of the process. So don't be mixing those two up. Make sure that you're approaching those from the right angle. The mixing engineer, while they can shape the person however they want, what they cannot do is they can't change who the person is inherently. They can't give them a third arm. They can't be adding two heads to the person. They can't completely just disfigure them in some way, or at least you shouldn't be if you're a personal trainer. You're not going to be running out there with chainsaws and hacking limbs off, right? Maybe that was a little bit too much for this, but make sure that your actual goal is you are the personal trainer inside of the mix. You are trying to get the best out of them, not necessarily change who they are inherently. And let's continue on to the next video.